My name is Shane Redman. I am the Archive Manager of the Archive of Data on Disability to Enable Policy and Research at ICPSR. The Archive Director is Dr. Amy Pienta, back there. So I'm going to give you a broad overview of what ADDEP is and what ICPSR is. Similar to others, many of you have probably seen this information before, but many of you probably have not. So ICPSR is the Inter-University Consortium for Political and Social Research. We're housed within the Institute for Social Research at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. We've been around a while. We were established in 1962. And our consortium consists of almost 800 members, member institutions worldwide. So in addition to our archiving activities and data sharing activities, we also have a summer program on quantitative methods training. So we train about 1,000 participants in that program each summer in Ann Arbor and at some various locations throughout the country. And then for our archive, currently we have over 14,000 studies archived at ICPSR, over 5 million variables that are searchable in our catalog online, and over 85,000 citations in the searchable bibliography. So what we do is basically ingest, archive, curate, and disseminate data. We also provide user support to both data depositors, if they would like to archive their data with us, as well as data users. So if they have questions about using any of our data sets, we provide that user support. And then, like I mentioned, with our summer program, we provide education and training, and we also do the different projects at ICPSR, do various presentations, workshops, webinars throughout the year. So data that fit at ICPSR, it's pretty broad. So we have social and behavioral sciences, very broadly defined, health and medical sciences, rehabilitation sciences, and many more. And then in terms of data formats, we accept almost everything. We have the most experience with statistical and text data, but we also have some geospatial data, some videos, images, audio files, sensor data, and then, as you've already heard, brain scan images as well with the ATLAS data set that you'll hear more about today. We accept data from both small-scale and large-scale studies. And then again, as mentioned, we have both the de-identified public use data, and we also can handle restricted use data. So at any given time, we have around 15 or more archives that are topical archives that serve the needs of distinct research communities, and they're often sponsored. So you'll see this is kind of a list of the topical archives just pulled from our website. And you can see the one that I put the box around is ADDEP. So that's one of our topical archives on data on disability. And of course, it's sponsored by CLDR. And so the data in all of these topical archives are curated and made available to secondary users at no cost. So ADDEP is one of those topical archives. So again, it stands for the Archive of Data on Disability to Enable Policy and Research. It's a joint initiative, obviously, of CLDR and ICPSR. And the mission is to improve and enable research among researchers, policymakers, practitioners by acquiring disability and rehabilitation data and providing access to these data. So that's kind of the same thing. So we offer a wide range of resources that includes data analysis tools, a bibliography of related publications, and other data resources, all available on the ADDEP website, which is part of ICPSR. So it's kind of a small, you can't really read anything, but those are just various links to click through different resources on data management, data sharing, archiving your data, and using data. And I believe I have the actual website in another slide. So our primary activities at ADDEP, similar to ICPSR broadly, is acquire, process, and disseminate data. We produce well-documented data sets in multiple formats. We ensure that there are study level and variable level metadata for each study. Some studies have online analysis that you can perform right on our website, and then the bibliography of related publications, so you can see what others have done with the data sets. So I mentioned processing data, so this is kind of our data curation services that we provide in all of our topical archives and our membership archive. So part of these services, data curation, these are things that are included in the data curation. So we have a staff of data curators who perform all of these tasks on all of the data sets that we ingest. So each data set undergoes a thorough disclosure risk review for identifying information. And we work with PIs to either mask those data if it's identifying or recode, whatever it happens to be, to protect the identity of study participants. And then they check for things like missing data, make sure that's standardized. They check for coding errors. They ensure that the metadata, both at the study level and the variable level, is complete and all there and consistent. We produce a kind of a standardized ICPSR code book. And then all of the data goes through a series of quality checks, basically. And we make the data, if possible, available in a variety of formats for secondary users. And then for education and training, we offer a variety of webinars, workshops, and different presentations at conferences throughout the year. And these are mostly on best practices for data sharing and preparing your data for sharing, and then data analysis tools. We also have several online guides through the website, both the ADDEP website and the ICPSR website, on how to prepare your data for archiving from the very early stages of the research life cycle to how to access and analyze data that others have archived. And again, the user support. So here's just a screenshot of the ADDEP website. When you go on it, there are all these tabs across the top, and you can click on the training one. And so these are some of the resources that we have available that anybody can access. A lot of them link to ICPSR's YouTube page, where we have a lot of our webinars archived there. So in ADDEP specifically, right now we have 124 studies that are discoverable on the ADDEP website. We have 12 series of data sets, so some of these are cross-listed across some of our topical archives, if the content makes sense to cross-list with them. So we have an archive on aging, for example, so we cross-list a lot of studies with them. We have over 2,800 associated publications just from these 124 studies, and over 85,000 variables that are searchable through the online catalog just from these studies again. Our most recent releases is Early Intervention Colorado, which you'll hear more about shortly by one of our speakers today, and then Investigating the Neurobiologic Basis for Loss of Cortical Laterality in Chronic Stroke Patients, from Dr. Colleen Hanlon at South Carolina. So those are our two most recent releases. We have a couple being curated right now, and you'll hear about some more from the speakers today. So our value to the research community, for researchers and depositors, it increases the discoverability and shareability of their data. We enhance the quality of the data for secondary analysis so that secondary users are really getting high quality data sets to work with. We provide technical assistance with data preparation. So if you're interested in depositing data with ICPSR, you just contact us and we'll talk through pretty much everything you need to know about depositing your data with us. And I think you'll hear more about some experiences with depositing data from the speakers in a little bit. And then we provide a data citation for each study. Every study has its own homepage. Every study gets its own DOI and a citation so that others can cite your actual data when they're using it in their publications. And then again, for secondary users, like I mentioned, they get access to very high quality curated data on a wide range of topics, and then all of the other resources that we make available online, the publications, online analysis tools, and things like that. So if you have any questions, feel free to send an email at any time. That's the ADDEP email address. That'll go to me, basically. Or you can send it to the general ICPSR email address, which is on the website everywhere, and it will get sent to me eventually. So that's all I have for the overview of ADDEP and ICPSR. Are there any quick questions before I introduce the speakers? Okay.
I have a quick question here. How many other entities are there that do this kind of data archiving and so forth? Because, for example, I always get buzzed by Elsevier's because they are trying to create a research data repository for studies that they publish in their journals. Are there, what others are there? You find this universe that ADDEP is working in is probably other competitors, and not if you want to use that term, or other entities.
Yeah.
And what is, and in that space, how do you think that's going to shake out?
Yeah, so I'll answer some of that, and Amy can jump in if she has some thoughts as well. So there are thousands of data repositories. Some of them are institutional repositories. You know, some institutions have their own for their own researchers, journals, as you mentioned, and then others like us that are kind of more broad. We're the largest social science data archive, and I believe oldest. But we work with journals as well. So we have a self-publishing platform that have some journals have their repositories there. Amy, do you have anything else?
I guess the thing that ICPSR that stands apart from this very cluttered landscape is a couple of things. I think one is that we handle confidential and restricted data. Most places are making archiving services for data that can be fully de-identified, and so we have a really robust process for making sure the data are protected and the things that were promised in the informed consent end up
part of how we manage the user's access to the data. And then the other part is just the quality and usability that we ensure because we curate the data. Most of this very cluttered landscape is about quick and easy access, file sharing, and you know what your files look like and things you haven't shared very widely, and that's what those places tend to share. Versus somebody, much like Bill was describing, somebody who looks through the data and makes sure that all the pieces are there so that the methodology is understood in a way that crosses disciplines and ensures that all that information is retained in the documentation. So the standards-based approach that ICPSR takes and the effort that we spend on each data set to improve it is what stands us apart. And then the training piece, of course, too, we're doing that as well. So it's sort of an everything solution.
Yeah, I'm an investigator on a recent project that has been completed, or now publishing results, and I'm thinking about archiving things that are available. So if I want to navigate this cluttered space, how am I likely to get to you or the others?
I think that's a great question, and it makes me think in this the health services research space that we've been talking about, rehabilitation research, all those things this morning, that we've sort of planted seeds throughout this community of people who know what we are and what we do and what good archiving looks like versus file sharing. And so it's my hope that we can think through ways to continue to expand on getting the message out about the kinds of services that we offer at ICPSR that will continue, into the future, obviously, as this project wraps up.
So one of your advantages is you've been around for a long time.